this time on MTV.
And then he brings out this needle that's like this long and gets me in both hips.
Felt like that needle got longer the closer he got to me, except for I could feel the inside of my nose moving back and forth.
Clear plastic jug full of used needles. I swear to you, I saw Jesus with a set of headphones on.
So we're reading through the Sermon on the Mount, judge not lest you be judged.
I'm like, who are you to judge me? That's not how that word works. There's a difference between discernment and judgment.
Some gentleness and some mercy in our judgment.
He's talking to legalistic people, but his own people are over here watching this unfold too, correct?
Yep.
Are violins in the Bible?
But they didn't have violins back then. Breathless. In the Bible or out of the Bible?
I think you have a ladybug on your microphone.
Great balls of fire, you leave me breathless.
Mike the Baptist. Hey, welcome to Mike the Baptist and Happy New Year.
Wow, yes.
It is a new year. It's 2026.
That's so crazy.
Jason
How long
Riccardi.
does it take you to actually start writing the correct date?
You know, this time I actually did it.
Really?
Yeah, I've written a couple of things here recently, and I just wrote the right
I'm
date.
good on even numbers. It's the odd ones that throw me off.
Yeah, I don't know, but I've had trouble with that in the past. I didn't have to think about this time. Maybe I was ready for it.
We stopped writing checks. If you write checks, that's what
That probably,
Yeah.
there's probably something to that. I did not struggle with that as much this time, but I haven't written a check in a long time.
Yeah,
when you Venmo somebody, you get the right date.
Checks are about a thing of the past. Pretty close.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jason Riccardi, welcome.
Hey, what's up?
You haven't been here in a while. You've
It's been a minute,
a
yeah.
busy guy.
Well, yeah.
Well, maybe you haven't been busy, but you haven't been here in a while. But anyway, glad to see you back.
Yeah, good to be back.
H.D. Jones,
It's been a while.
you as well. Yeah, we see each other all the time, so it's kind of weird when we have to say, good to see you, because we just saw each other. But anyway, that's the way it works. It's a new year on Mike the Baptist, and we're going to do things just about like we always have. We may have a twist or two coming later in the year, but MikeTheBaptist.com, comments at MikeTheBaptist.com, enough said. I do have to ask really quick, and then we'll move on. Do y'all make resolutions?
The last one I can remember making was when I thought I was going to run a mile a day for a year. Mm-hmm. And I got all the way into like March, but I was going to seminary at the time, and I forgot my running shoes, and the gym was closed, and it was like 12 degrees outside.
And you said, not going to do that?
Said, I'm done. And the sad thing is I had gotten quite a while into the year before that happened. And
You're fairly disciplined. I know you. You're fairly disciplined.
Yeah.
H, do you make them?
I disappoint myself.
Exactly.
So,
I don't make them because those are the things I break.
I have goals. I have things like, I probably should do this more. But
Yeah. I've been hearing that talk lately because everybody's catching on to the cool thing to do is say, I don't make resolutions, I set goals.
Yeah.
Oh, poppycock. Just wake up and live your life. That's what I say. Because, if you set expectations for yourself and then you don't actually meet those, you just feel bad.
Poppycock is not a phrase that you hear very much anymore. I appreciate you making it retro cool again.
I just knew we were going to get some random piece of knowledge of where that came from.
Nope. I got nothing. I don't know where that one came from.
We might need to look that up in the break. It would be interesting to know.
Be interesting. Could be inappropriate, but...
So, no resolutions, right?
Yeah, no resolutions.
We're going to talk about some stuff we found in the Bible here in a little bit. What are we talking about today, HD?
We're going to be continuing in the Sermon on the Mount and talking about some of the things that Jesus thought were important for us to do.
Okay, sounds good. Should be a
times.
good conversation. We're going to play Inny or Audi after a while. It's a whole new year of Inny or Audi. I look forward to that all the time because we learn lots of things.
It's fun.
Mostly what we learn is what we don't know. That we don't know as much as we thought.
I learned how dumb I actually am.
That's what learning's all about.
Every single time.
That's been one of the joys I have had of this Inny or Audi thing is just realizing how much little I do know and how it's right here. You just outed right here in front of people.
So I thought you were going to say one of your joys was watching how dumb I am.
That's where I started, but I realized in the middle of the phrase that I need to kind of point that back at myself.
He said a New Year's resolution to be kinder and gentler.
Yes. Before we do all that, though, we're going to visit on the front porch. And to be honest with you, we had no idea what we were going to talk about. And then 1, 2, or 3 of us mentioned some health issue we're dealing with. And HD says, doctor visit.
There you go.
Yeah.
You brought it up.
There you go.
Let's hear your doctor visit.
I'm ready
HD.
to go. So when I was little guy, probably first, second grade, I would get pneumonia every year. It was bad. And so I remember, all those weird stuff that you had to do, like hang off the couch and cough and spit on like newspaper, get all that junk out of your lungs. But anyway, we went to this old cranky doctor, Dr. Carney, down in Madison. And it was
That's a fun last name.
It was a one-story, it seemed like just a scary funhouse thing. You go in, and it's all dark paneling, dark floor, and just had that smell, that doctor visit smell.
Yes.
Maybe like old penicillin or something.
That's what I was thinking, some medication of some kind.
And so we would go in there, and you go in and sit in the room, right? And Dr. Carney would come in. He always made me do weird stuff. I think it's things today that, like you'd probably be arrested for, like, strip down to your underwear and walk down the hallway. Like, wait, all these people here, they can see me. But, he's watching for, I guess, development and growth and all that stuff. But anyway, pneumonia. So I remember him looking at my mom, and he said, "Mom, my job is to keep this boy out of the hospital. He's not going to like what he has to do, but we're going to keep him out of the hospital." And then he brings out this needle that's like this long, a penicillin, and gets me in both hips, man. I couldn't even walk. It was awful. And I remember as a kid then crying every time I'd get sick and go, "I hate the doctor. I don't want to go to the doctor." And my mom would, feel bad. I think that's what we do to our parents. We just make them feel bad. But
used to, when you went to the doctor, 9 times out of 10, they were going to give you a shot.
Oh, I remember when I became like 13 or 14 and we found a doctor that didn't give shots. It was like the greatest thing ever, right? Oh, what, you could get this in the pill? Phenomenal.
Right. No, I think they enjoyed it.
My gosh, Dr. Carney would light you up. I mean, I couldn't even like sit down on that side for a while. It was bad.
For those of you just listening, when HT said this needle was this big, he inferred that it was about 14 to 16 inches.
It had to be. It had to be.
Okay, Dr. Carney?
Dr. Carney.
All right. Is he still alive?
I don't think so. I don't think so, but I'm not going back.
I'll tell you what. How many years has that been? 40 something, or maybe?
Yeah.
I'll bet you money if he's still alive, he'll still give you a shot.
Oh yeah, probably. I didn't go to the hospital, so that kudos to him.
Used to, you could go in and ask for a shot. I don't think they'll let you do that quite so much anymore. They got to grill you a little bit. Anyways, Jason, do you have a doctor story?
So anyway, mine's actually more of a dentist story.
Okay.
So
they're doctors too.
I think they're considered doctors.
Yeah, they are doctors. Not a medical doctor, but a dental doctor.
Right.
And so went to the dentist, and I did not have dental insurance at the time, but my wisdom teeth were giving me some problems. And he said, "Well, we can either put you under and I can cut them out, the typical wisdom teeth thing." And I said, "Well, how much is that going to cost?" And he told me, I was like, "Well, I don't actually have that much money. So is there another route?" He said, "Well, we can give you a little numbing shot. It's up there in the top. It's fine. I can just pull them." I was like, "All right." Not knowing what that meant. What that meant is I think that needle, he started at about the doorway.
Yeah.
And I think he was probably like 10 feet away. And I felt like that needle got longer the closer he got to me. And I think he went through both sides of my mouth. I don't even know how that's possible. But man, I'll tell you what, I was numb. And so when he latched those pliers on there, this is the craziest thing. When he latched those pliers on there, everything was numb. I couldn't feel anything, except for I could feel the inside of my nose moving back and forth as he wiggled to try to get the wisdom teeth out. Literally, I mean, I could feel the inside of my nose going back and forth. It's so crazy. So that's my dentist one. But I actually almost died of appendicitis when I was 2 or 3 years old. Literally came within probably a couple of hours of dying from appendicitis. And so they had to do an emergency appendectomy, and this is 43 years ago. So they didn't even have advancements in the way that they do. And so I've got a pretty significant length zipper scar, and apparently I enjoyed showing people that scar when I was 2 years old.
Interesting.
Yeah, just in random public places. Hey, you want to see my appendectomy scar? And
that's very young for appendicitis.
Well, that's why I almost died, because the doctors just thought I had a stomach ache, whatever, and they said there's no way that he has a ruptured appendix. But I had a ruptured appendix, and I literally came within a few hours of dying. And the doctor, my family doctor, actually recognized it, took one look at me, said his appendix was ruptured, and had to go in for emergency surgery.
Wow.
Yeah, spent several weeks in the hospital.
That's serious right there.
Yeah, it was pretty significant.
Almost feel bad now about HD stories and mine. Because that's so, no, it is serious, but we're glad you made it.
Yeah.
Did they take your appendix out? Did they take it out when you were 2?
They did, yeah.
Huh.
I didn't get to keep it, though. I don't have it on a jar anywhere.
That was my next question, if you got that
I figured you were going that
route. You start going to a urologist when you're of a certain age, and then they won't see you pretty regular after they get you in there once. And I recall sitting in the room. I checked in. They brought me back to the room. I was sitting in the room, and I was waiting on the doc to come in there. And I got to thinking about that at some point in this man's life, a light bulb went off in his head, and he said, I want to do that for a living. And I just got so tickled, and it's almost to the point where I laugh when he comes in there now. I tell him about it once, but he has no sense of humor.
He's serious, yeah.
And he doesn't laugh, he doesn't do anything. So I tell one of the nurses once in a while. In that same office, just recently, a few weeks ago, I was sitting there waiting back in the room, and I look at over on the floor in the corner is one of these clear plastic jugs full of used needles. Up there, they put them in there. It's got the hazard sign on it. I'm looking at that, and you can see through. It's kind of hazy, but you can see through this bottle. And towards the bottom, I swear to you, I saw Jesus with a set of headphones on. And the more I looked at it, the funnier it got. And I took a picture of it, and I think I posted it on Facebook to ask people if this counts. People see Jesus in the clouds and heads of cheese, burnt toast and all that. So I was wondering if this counted as one of those sightings, or if the fact that he had on headphones, if that kind of canceled it all out.
It only counts for millennials. That's hipster Jesus.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, anyway, those are not great doctor stories, but they were in the kind of the topic. So we will take a break, come back and talk about some stuff we found in the Bible. Hey, we're back. It's a new year. You think there'll be anything new in the Bible?
There's always new stuff in the Bible.
I was fishing for that. I knew I would get that.
I had a guy walk in my office just this week, and he's like, hey, I was reading through the book of Daniel, and he said, of course, he's quizzing me. It's kind of like Inny or Outty everywhere I go. He's like, who was the guy that allowed Daniel not to eat the king's food? And I was like, off the top of my head, I was like, well, I guess it, was the chief that was in charge of the guys. And he's like, you're wrong. And he starts flipping through my Bible, and it was actually the guard. So the king said, you're going to eat this. The chief in charge of the program said, I can't do that. I'll get in trouble. But the guard who was over Daniel said, I will give you that opportunity. So this guy, he reads the Bible all the time, and he's like, I've never noticed that before. So what are we talking about in the Bible today? So we're reading through the Sermon on the Mount, and one of the things that Jesus says to his disciples, and it's probably one of the most misquoted verses in the Bible, judge not lest you be judged. So let's talk about judging other people, because I'm really good at it, so I can't believe we can't do it.
This is going to be touchy and sensitive right here.
Right.
What do you want to talk about? You say let's talk about.
Give us some insight.
Let's qualify judging first.
Yeah, so that definitely, you got to set your definitions and make sure that your definitions are right when you first start. And judging is not like how we use it in common everyday vernacular. It's not you see somebody doing something stupid and you tell them, like, don't do that, that's not good. I'm like, who are you to judge me? That's not how that word works. Judgment.
Actually, I'm going to start putting subtitles on the screen when Jason uses
says big words.
It'll have a definition.
Because both of us look like the RCA dog.
I know. Carry on, Jason.
Well, the word judgment there is the Greek word krino, if I remember right, and it literally means it literally means that, like, there's a penalty associated with that particular type of thing. So when you're judging somebody, it's not just discerning that what they're doing is wrong. There's also a penalty that is associated with that. And so when it says do not judge, what it's saying is more than just looking at somebody and be like, you are so dumb. You are really, really dumb. For real. It's more than that. There's a penalty that goes along with that. There's a punishment that goes in there as well.
Almost like a legal.
Yes.
I don't know what the word is. Like you're
legal term.
You're looking at something and you're
legal ruling,
determining that it's wrong because of some legalistic way.
Standard, yeah. Yeah. So there's a difference, and if you set the stage with there's a difference between discernment and judgment, I think that really will help you interpret the passage more clearly. Discernment is recognizing that there's something that somebody is doing that is wrong. Judgment is punishing that person for doing something wrong. So when it says, do not judge lest thee be judged, what it's really kind of saying is, it's not saying look at somebody and, maybe they've got an aberrant lifestyle. Maybe they got some sort of weird thing that they pet sin that they like doing. It's not looking at that and saying, you really shouldn't be doing that. It's looking at that saying you shouldn't be doing that and then like ostracizing them, kicking them out of the church, or just completely breaking off any fellowship and friendship with them. It's, maybe even penalizing them in some sort of way beyond that. So discernment is healthy and good. Because I got young kids, when they were young, we made sure that they understood that the stove was hot and you didn't want to put your hands by it when it was hot. And we helped them understand. What?
That one's used a lot. Can you use something different?
No,
go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll give you an example.
Use the buzzer.
My daughter, this is when my daughter didn't listen to what I was saying. She was probably like 2 or 3. And she was sitting on one of the swivel chairs, computer chair, and she was spinning around on it. I was like, Zoe, don't do that. You're gonna hurt yourself. You might fall off. She's like, no, it's fine. And it wasn't just a few minutes later. She fell off and hit her bridge of her nose, almost eyeball it on the corner of the tower computer. And we had to take her in, get her some butterfly stitches or fake stitches or something like that. The nurse practitioner glued her up, but it wasn't judgment telling her to not do that. It was discernment saying this could go sideways for you. And so I think that's probably helpful.
So what was the scripture and what was the context of the before and the after?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because what most people will throw at you is judge not lest you be judged. But then he goes on to say, for the judgment that you use will be judged, and with the measure that you use, it will be measured to you. So why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but you don't notice the log in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, and look, there's a log in your eye? Hypocrite. So Jesus is not saying we cannot judge anybody anywhere for anything, but what he's trying to teach is how to judge, and that we should use some gentleness and some mercy in our judgment, because like them, we have our own issues, and it may be in that moment that what they're going through is kind of more apparent than what we've got going on, but we all have issues, so we got to be careful how we do that.
So he's talking to a mixed crowd here. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So he's talking to legalistic people,
Yep.
but his own people are over here kind of
Yep.
watching this unfold too.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's talking to the people that are super religious, but he's also talking to his disciples, teaching them how to do a better job of discernment and helping people. I mean, again, if somebody is doing something that could cause them harm, we'd be foolish not to tell them that they're going down a bad road.
Is it hard for preachers to not judge somebody? Say, you guys have people come in to talk to you. I used to come in every day, but I quit bugging y'all so much. But y'all regularly have people come in, sit down, and want to spill their guts to you and talk to you. Is it hard not to judge them on a personal level and just kind of keep it? I think I know the answer to that, but I think I'm wanting to ask how you handle that, sort of.
I think what's harder is not that initial meeting when you meet with them and they're spilling their guts, and it's easy to have grace in that first moment, but when you see them doing the same thing over and over and over, it gets harder to not criticize and penalize them for what they're doing and to get frustrated at what they're doing. So initially it's easier. I mean, it's real easy to give somebody grace. You understand that there are circumstances that cause problems, but when you see them doing it like over and over and over, it gets more frustrating.
So is that really judging? Or, I mean, I wouldn't categorize that as judging.
I would not necessarily categorize that as judging, as long as the attitude with which you talk to them about it is helpful. I think one of the key phrases in there was the judgment with which you use will be judged you as well. And so if you're using scripture to help somebody be better than what they are, that's the judgment that will be used against you as well. And I think that's a helpful way of approaching it. So when you're talking with somebody, when you're counseling with them, just make sure that you are grounded and rooted in the Word, and that's the standard that you're using to bring somebody to where they should be.
Well, even if you're just let's take it out of the pastor's office now, just in a truck or a car riding with a friend, and they're unloading something on you. I mean, where's the line on judging there? Is it the same? It would be the same, because it's a human thing, right? You're trying to hear somebody and take in what they're telling you, and not be so judgmental that you can't be a friend or help them.
Well, I think what helps me is that nothing really shocks me, to be honest. Nothing. I've had people walk in my office, and it's not like I fall out of my chair and go, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you've done that," or you would even talk about that. Nothing shocks me, because here's the reality: all of us are just broken people who do some really horrible things,
and stupid things.
So I guess where I come to on that, Michael, is that if you told me something that happened in your life, I'm not going to put that in the recesses of my mind so that every time I see you, all I see is what you told me. Maybe that's God's gift of being a pastor sometimes, but it is there a little bit because I have a responsibility to help you. So, for example, if you got caught stealing from your employer, and you went through all of that, and you got caught, and you got maybe even some prison time, when you come out of prison, I'm probably not going to put you on the finance committee or put you in a place
That's in
a place where you could hurt yourself. And it's not so much about, got to protect the church, but you're protecting that individual. So you're judging, but you're not judging.
I think what you're saying is you're making a judgment.
A judgment
call, so to speak.
Yeah.
While that's going on.
Yeah, but it's all to help that person be better. The big picture here, and the reason the world likes to throw that out, judge not, lest ye be judged. They don't want us to tell them that they're going to end up in hell if they don't change their ways.
Right. Yeah.
They don't want to, but you know what? A judgment against us is if we don't tell them they're going to end up in hell. I've got a buddy that says, I don't want people to be more happy about going to hell. So, we have a responsibility not to beat people down. I would call judging more like label, like, you're just a this or you're that. To me, when we're just honest with people, calling a sin, two people are living together and they're not married, I don't mind looking at them and go, you realize this is not God's plan for this. I'm not judging them. I mean, I get it, but it's not good for them. And so God's ways, God's rules are for our good. And when we break them, we'd kind of be foolish not to tell people that we love that, hey, that's probably not the best thing for you.
All of us, I think, know people who are we think they're judgmental.
Yeah.
And I think those people are usually the ones that, I guess you would say, are know-it-alls.
Correct.
That in churches and out of churches.
Yep.
And I can't help but look at those people. I make fun of a lot of things that people do. People do silly, stupid things, and I take a shot at them. Humor's my thing. But I think there's a lot of people that just take some satisfaction out of making you think you're not quite as good as them, or that they know but you don't.
If we're trying to push people down to make ourselves feel better, we have. You can go ahead and buzz this crazy little statement we have in the church is that the field is level at the foot of the cross.
And, I'm not buzzing the foot of the cross.
And I appreciate that. And basically what that means is, we work with some guys who have had trouble with substance abuse. Well, I've never really, drug addiction has never been my vice, but I don't look down on those guys because I have some other vices that are just as bad, just as disgusting to God. So I'm not better than them. So I can put my arm around them, acknowledge that they have this problem, help them be better with that situation, but I shouldn't ever look down on them. because we're all sinners, right? We're all broken God's law.
Isn't it silly how any human can look at another human and think they're better than that human? That's just silly to me. I don't understand the thinking.
It's like the old redneck statement, that girl thinks her poop don't stink. Everybody's poop stinks. I mean, it's just what it's called to being human.
You heard
right?
it here.
Isn't there a kid's book called Everybody Poops?
Yes, I think there is. Well,
speaking of the weather,
we went off the rails.
Speaking of the weather, so what's your reason for talking about this today, and how does it fit into what you're wanting us to hear?
Well, the next thing that Jesus will talk about is this idea that he is the narrow way and that there's a broad way out there. And part of the bad rep that Christians get, and we've gotten it because we kind of deserve it, is that there has been a tendency for Christians to look down on other people, like somehow we've arrived and they're just a bunch of idiots and haven't figured it out. And I like the phrase there, but by the grace of God go I. All of us are in here and we hold each other accountable, but let's be honest, we all have the capability of being stupid. Even today, even being saved, we can still make bad choices. And so we have a responsibility to not only walk the way God wants us to live our lives, but we have a responsibility to help other people. And, when people are hurting, it's okay. It's okay just to hurt with them, but it's okay also to kind of point them to better things, show them how they can do life better.
Nobody likes an arrogant Christian person.
Nope.
Nobody.
No.
You're not going to be, if you are that, you're not going to be effective in helping anything out. You're just going to drive people away.
Well, Jesus is the only perfect man that ever walked on the planet.
And he wasn't very arrogant.
Adam was for a little bit. But Jesus spent a lot of time with drunks, prostitutes, tax collectors, so much so that his people that were antagonizing him all the time said, look, he's a drunkard and a glutton. And he got that reputation because he hung out with those people. And I think it's a good reminder that we need to hang out with those people because we're one of those people.
The people with addictions, I've always thought of them as that's somebody's cousin. Just like I have cousins in my family. If they got all wrangled up in some of the things that some people do with drugs and all that, would I treat them bad?
Right.
No.
Right.
They're part of my family. Would I hang around them while they're doing stuff like that? No, I'm not going to do that. But I would try to be understanding. Having been through crap myself, I could turn around and apply that to you going through your crap, and try not to get in your business too much about it. Just try to listen to you.
And it's hard sometimes, and things are presented to the church. And I just say this to people who are listening to us because maybe you've been hurt by the church, or maybe you say, well, I'm never going to a church because they hurt people. But man, there are things that are thrown at the church, to be honest with you, that are just difficult. Let's talk about something that should be easy: a baby shower. Are we going to have a baby shower at the church? Well, if a young couple is married and they're going to have a baby, man, we want to celebrate that. But what happens when that young lady is not married and she gets pregnant? Well, we're kind of put in the crosshairs. Are we going to celebrate her fornication, or are we going to try to find a way to celebrate her making a good decision to keep the baby? And are we going to come along and put our arms around her and help her, because she will need things like formula and diapers and wipes and all that stuff. But the church kind of gets caught in the crosshairs. It's kind of like, how do we do this in such a way where we're not celebrating the sin, but we are celebrating,
you're taking care of the person,
that there is redeemable qualities in us. And it's hard sometimes. And I know some churches take a hard stance on that, and people kind of poo-poo the church on that. So anyway,
that's a pickle.
It is.
That sort of thing is a pickle. I think the moral of the story is in everything you're doing, you can apply this judgment thing.
Yep.
And it's so simple. It's so simple when he said that, just be willing to judge yourself before you start judging somebody else. that makes anybody think, unless you're so arrogant that you can't consider that you might have something somebody else could judge about you.
You know, in the Sermon on the Mount, after he uses the phrase, judge not lest you be judged, he goes on to say the golden rule that we are all familiar with. Whatever you wish to do for others, or whatever you wish others to do for you, do for them. That's the law and the prophets. But then he also follows it up with the phrase, you'll recognize them by their fruit. So, you know, it just, there's no way that phrase means that you can't lovingly look at somebody and say, look, there is a better way. But you have to do it in such a way that Jesus is the standard. That's the standard that you're going back to. And that you're doing it out of love for their betterment, not for their punishment.
Not that you know better.
Not that you know better, because you're using the standard of Jesus. Jesus knows better, not you. And we all struggle. We all have to recognize that, man, whatever I'm doing for this person right now, I really hope to goodness that somebody would do the same for me. There's
a line in a famous song that says, find the good in someone else and they'll see the good in you.
Yep. Yep.
I think it's Red Checkered Shirt, available on Amazon Music and everywhere else around the world.
Yeah.
Download it. What would you say to people driving around on the interstate somewhere that tripped on this and didn't have anything better to do, and who haven't bought into the whole concept of letting their life be different from what they're doing now? What would you say to somebody like that right now?
I think, Jesus says it wonderfully well when he says, I am the narrow way. In other words, there's not multiple ways for you to somehow fix your life or get to God. There's one way, and it's Christ and Christ alone. And even if you don't understand that, it's truth. And when you hear truth, let that knock around between your ears a little bit, and even question God. I think it's okay. You're like, I'm not sure if God's real. Well, why don't you ask him? Just cry out to him and say, God, if you're real, show me. You might be surprised. Things, and if you'll be looking, you might be surprised. Somebody will come up and say, I don't know why I'm supposed to tell you this, but I'm supposed to tell you this. Or you turn on the radio and there's a song that's telling you that, and you don't know why you listen to that station that day. God wants to reveal himself to us, but there's not 10,000 ways to live your life. There's one way to live your life, and it's in Christ.
And that's not a bad thing.
No, he's the one that created you, so he knows what you're here for and why you're here.
The rebel in you wants to say, well, don't tell me how to live.
Right.
So the question is, okay, so you're knocking it down the way you're living?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, and you hadn't found another thing to replace that, what's wrong with considering this? What's wrong with that? I mean,
I think it's really interesting the way that Matthew closes out the Sermon on the Mount. The Sermon on the Mount is chapters 5, 6, and 7 of his gospel, right? This is how he closes out that whole thing. Jesus just spent all this time giving this great message, and it says, and when Jesus finished these sayings, the crowds were astonished at his authority, at his teaching. Like, he was teaching them as one with authority and not as one of their scribes. They were astonished at what he had to teach. They were amazed at what he had to teach. And when you encounter the real and living and true Jesus, man, I'll tell you, you'll be astonished at just how amazing it is when you are touched by him, when you have this opportunity for him to pour into you and you to seek after him. There's just something about what he has to say that is different than every other
it's
teacher
real.
out there. It's real.
It's real, and it
and he has authority. His word is the standard by which we need to measure ourselves.
Two things.
He's the one that has the authority.
Two things. There's a reason why, if you read a help yourself book, these, what do they call them?
Self-help books.
Self-help book. Thank you. There's a reason why people read one of those, and next year they need another one. Because you can't really, in the long run, help yourself. You might can change some habits or something, but you can't help yourself. There's also a reason why the Bible has been around forever, and it doesn't go away. It's because it actually
best-selling book.
It has
year
answers.
in, year out, often.
It has answers. I don't remember what the other thing was. I said there was two, didn't I?
I was in a self-help section of Barnes & Noble once, and it was, being a youth pastor, I went over, gravitated to the youth section. I was going to see what was on the shelves there. And it was a youth self-help book titled Expletive Your Life. And literally every chapter started out with that phrase, your life.
Just for whatever that
in
word is.
this particular area. And it was just over and over and over and over. And that's what the world is presenting to our students nowadays. They're saying this is what's good and healthy and wholesome for you. And they're filling that with just ridiculous statements. They're so far off the reservation. They're so far gone, so far wrong that, and there's no hope in those things outside of Jesus.
Hey, what's interesting is there seems to be a little bit of a movement in a lot of younger people that are kind of tired
they're
of
diving
not
into
having
the Word.
There's
a hunger now that
they
there
kind of want a
hasn't been in a
real
while.
answer because they're kind of seeing through the other
We
stuff.
kind of started off with New Year's resolutions earlier, and here's the reality. Human beings, they're incredible. I mean, you could decide this year, I'm going to go to the gym every day and I'm going to get in shape. And you can do a pretty good job of that, but what you will find is that when you get in shape, you're still not going to be satisfied. There's always going to be something. And so then I'm going to do the predator diet. I'm just going to eat meat. I'm not going to eat any bread. And I'm not going to have zero fat. You know what will happen? You'll end up in the hospital. Your heart will be enlarged and you will be very sick because you need some carbs. You need some of that. And so it's more than just a balance in life, but it's this reality we can't fix ourselves.
Mm-hmm. It's not in there.
Even the people
can't call it up.
Even the people that do a good job of trying to fix themselves, at the end of the day, they're still
the people that do a good job of fixing themselves are boring. They're just boring
and lost.
and lost.
Father
Boring
Time
and
is
lost.
undefeated.
You heard it here. Let's take a break. Come back, play Inny or Outty. Did we get where we wanted
Yep.
to go? That's
Yep.
great. See you in a bit.
Hey everybody, it's time to play America's almost favoriteest new game show, Inny or Outty, where we challenge our guests to figure out if a phrase we give them is actually in the Bible or out of the Bible. Sharpen your wits, guest. You're about to be in the hot seat of Bible stuff, because you're the next contestant on Inny or Outty. Here's Mike.
It's a new year. It's 2026. You know, I can remember in the 1990s or somewhere back in there, all the talk about 2000, how really odd that sounded. Not so odd anymore. It's here. 2026, and we're about to play Inny or Outty. It's America's almost favoriteest new game show. And we're going to ask if it's in the Bible or out of the Bible. It's either an Inny or an Outty. That's it. Correct?
Yeah, sounds good.
You leading us off today?
I'll lead us off.
I can see the excitement in your eyes, Michael.
I'm a little excited. I have a theme this week and next week. It's music.
Okay.
I'm fond of music, and I'm connected to music a tad bit, and so that's my theme for Inny or Outty. I knew you would be excited, as I am. I've been learning to play the fiddle. It's because I don't have anything.
I heard
to
you're
do,
a fiddle
so
player too, and if you care to take it there,
I'll make a bet with you. You play pretty good fiddle. Anyway, fiddle is extremely hard to play. It's difficult.
What's the difference in that and the violin?
Nothing.
Okay.
One is you feel
Sophisticated.
fancy, so you call it a violin.
Do you play it differently? I mean, is it just that you're...
Well, yeah, fiddle is more,
Fiddling.
It's more
Country.
bluegrass,
Yep.
more.
So it's just a type of music.
The
that's
same
coming out of it.
instrument.
Yeah, it's the
Same
exact same
instrument.
thing. And if you're fancy, you play a violin. If you're not, you play a fiddle. Although fancy people can play a fiddle if they just let their hair down a little bit and do it. And anyway, speaking of that, are violins in the Bible? Were violins in the Bible? That would be an Inny if they're in and out.
Violence is violence in the Bible?
Not
Violence is all over the
violins. Violins. Are violins or a violin in the Bible? Have at it. Have a nice conversation.
Lute and lyre and zither and other instruments like
Harp.
that. Harp, I know, are in there. And
Is it
I
lyre
feel
or
like...
lyre?
Lyre.
It is lyre?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pants
think-
on fire.
I think, sure, maybe.
I'm sorry, this is your conversation.
I feel like there's a translation somewhere that has translated one of those things as violin, maybe like a contemporary English Bible or something like that. The New Living Translation. the Message Bible.
Michael Jackson is King James only.
That's
He's
right.
old school. He's from Arkansas. He's old school.
I'm set. Thou
King
art
James,
correct.
I don't think so.
Did you hear that? Thou art correct. I don't think that was correct.
Not that I'm judging or anything.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I can see a modern translation trying to make a connection with a modern day person. And so, whereas it may mean this instrument, they put the word violin in there because it's a modern equivalent in some ways. But they didn't have violins back there. That's a more recent instrument, if I remember right. So I think that they had more rudimentary stringed instruments like the lute, the lyre, or what. I don't even know that those have strings on them, but I think that they had very basic things like guitars and other things. I'm not sure that they actually had violins back then, but I could see a modern translation putting that word in there just because.
What are you trying to say?
Yeah.
There was a lot there, but no, I understand what you're trying to say.
I don't think the word violin, stringed instruments, yes. Don't think the word violin. David played harp, right?
Yeah.
And all those other zithers and zathers I remember, but I don't remember violin. And was there an instrument that was played with a bow? Does it talk about raising up a bow and playing an instrument? He's had time to do some research, so
I have. So
he
I feel like the violin is a modern instrument, and so unless it's a modern translation, I cannot see it being in the Bible.
so we're saying it's an Audi.
I think it's an Audi unless he just pulled up a modern translation that it just happened to be in there. I really don't think it's in there.
well, I don't
older
care that much for
translations.
modern translations. They get too far away.
It would make sense for you to grab one of those just to mess with us.
Yeah.
No, because you know that I rare and pitch a fit when we go to the Message and stuff because I just don't like to,
So I guess what we're saying, Michael, is that violin is
Is-
not in the Bible.
which would be
An Audi.
an Audi. Let's see. In the Bible, first of all, the violin was invented in the 16th century.
So it's a more modern instrument.
Modern was kind of a
Yeah.
loose word considering that was 500 years ago. But I know what you're saying, or 400. There is a word in the Bible, viol, V-I-O-L.
V-I-O.
Isn't it? Well, no, it's viola is the one I'm thinking of. Never mind.
Viol, I guess would be how you pronounce it. But let me read you a couple of things that I did take a couple notes because it's interesting hearing your conversation. The viol, I guess, was similar to a harp or a lyre, however you say that. It's similar, so it was a stringed instrument. Here's the interesting part about this. First of all, you're right. The violin was not in there because it hadn't been invented yet. But there was similar stringed instruments to these harps and stuff. The viol was used in worship, celebration, and feasting. But it was also criticized by prophets like Isaiah and Amos for being linked to sinful indulgence and complacency.
So like a piano at a bar.
Yes, it was
The bar
interesting
tune,
when
we
I
can't
read
play
that
that.
because I'm thinking, even then,
See?
there was some instrument played that was a little bit out of the norm, and they
Charlie
linked that.
Daniels was right because he's talking to the devil. I hear you're a fiddle player too.
Yes, so yeah,
And he's
so
talking about Satan.
is Charlie Daniels in the Bible? Inny or Outty? Okay, you're right. That's a win.
Very good.
Cool.
Okay,
Good job, Jason.
don't know
HD, you're up.
I think you had the same thoughts.
Am I up? Are
Oh,
up?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
I can do
Jason
it.
had one.
I
Oh,
can
you're up. Jason, you're up.
Breathless.
Huh?
Breathless.
Breathless.
Is that word in the scripture?
Breathless.
In the Bible or out of the
I
Bible?
think you have a ladybug on your microphone. It's a light-colored ladybug.
She's leaving us
It's on this
breathless.
side over here. On my side.
Oh, he's seeing things, people.
Yep, there it is.
Is it a light-colored ladybug?
There was a stink bug crawling across the table earlier.
Oh,
It's that time
yes.
of year.
Well, when I took all those 60 tubs up in the attic down, there was a few of them that had the lid cracked. And when I got down in there getting stuff out, there were some of those stink bugs or whatever they are in there. So now there's a few of them loose in the studio, and I don't know
just
where
living
they go.
their best life.
I don't know how they eat or how they survive, but they show up. Anyway,
Breathless.
breathless. That's so off the wall right there. Breathless. Just the word is the word breathless. Well, you know, H, I like to wonder why or how a word like that would be used. Do you have any immediate thoughts?
It's in some of our Christian music.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay, confession, I still listen to more 70s music.
But
than
I don't
do
know if
Christian
it's
music.
I don't know if
I'm
it's a
sorry.
direct quote,
Breathless.
or maybe I'm thinking about
Yeah.
great balls of fire. You leave me breathless.
Well, good news. I don't remember either because I put that in my Inny or Audi list a long time ago, so I don't
you-
remember.
okay.
I can't answer whether it was part of a larger phrase or not.
I do not see why that would be in the Bible.
I mean, breath is definitely in there. The breath of God, the wind.
Yes, it would be in there. I can't see why anybody would say they were breathless about anything. Because you would use that phrase.
Is there
to mean-
jogging? Is there jogging or marathons in the Bible?
Yeah,
Hey,
I think breathless would be more
did-
like shocked or amazed or.
The dude that ran out of there without his clothes on, was he breathless because he took off running?
Everybody else was probably breathless.
So are we saying it's an Audi?
I can't.
I can't come up with it, but
Why it would be used or who would have
it
used
seems
it.
like a romantic word, doesn't it?
You brought up the word marathon.
It's more like, or even like in modern praise music, they say all kinds of silly things in modern praise and worship music. So, and they say it over and over, like 80 times.
It's a 7-Eleven. Come on.
Anyway,
You use the word marathon. You know the guy that first ran the marathon died?
and people kept doing it.
Yeah. Well, it was actually in war. A messenger ran essentially the equivalent of whatever. And if I remember right, he said the phrase Maranatha or something. That may be it, or it may be whatever. But the distance was roughly based on the distance that guy ran. But then he ran,
Didn't know that.
and he ended up dying. And
See,
people are still running
Jason's
today.
childhood. He sat on the toilet and read the encyclopedia. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
that would be. I'm gonna have to. Anyway.
Do you have a set of real encyclopedias at your house? I bet
No.
you do. Ugh, you don't?
I've always wanted a set, but now you don't need them. So
Yeah.
Breathless.
I'm a weirdo.
Breathless.
I guess I'm a weirdo.
Breathless. We're saying it's an Audi.
It's an Audi.
Okay, we're saying
it's an Audi, Jason.
Okay, so
queso. That's
also
at the-
not in the Bible.
That's at the Mexican restaurant.
2 Chronicles 9:4. When the Queen of Sheba comes to visit Solomon, this is a well-read translation of the Bible. The food at his table, the seating of his servants, the attendance of his ministers in their attire, his cupbearers in their attire, and his stairway by which he went up to the house of the Lord, she was breathless.
Wow. Meaning what? Out
Like
of
it took her breath
or-
away.
The beauty of it.
The
Yeah.
beauty of it, the majesty and all that stuff. The ESV says there was no more breath in her or something like that.
So we lost.
Yeah.
I know, that just
What a
doesn't
way,
sound
what a way
like
to start off the year.
Oh, wow. What a great contestant and a fine sport today on Inny or Outty, America's almost favorite new game show. Study up, future guest people. You're next in the hot seat for Inny or Outty.
2026, we got one in the books.
Yeah, we do.
We made it through. Barely.
Maybe need some editing.
Maybe a couple of edits here and there, but you know, it happens. It happens. Hey, thanks, Jason Riccardi.
What's up?
Thanks, HD Jones.
Hey, good to be here.
And
It was my New Year's resolution to be here,
and you did it.
and I did it.
You got that out of the way very early in the year.
Sweet.
Check mark.
Well, looking forward to another good year. Isn't it odd how a year just kind of is gone? And you know, while it's going on, you're busy and you're doing things, but then when you look back and you're thinking, that was a year? Interesting things happen like that. But We're going to come back here next week and do this again. And we'd like to hear your comments. If you want to send us a comment, if you see us on the street off another state on an airplane, we'd like to hear your comments. Good or bad. We don't care. We can take it. Just don't judge us, lest you be judged. Which we wouldn't do, because we just learned that we shouldn't do that. So let's all not do that.
If you have any tips or tricks, we'll take your discernment, though.
We'll accept it all. You got anything at all. But anyway, till next time, remember, folks, we're all just Christians.
Try not
to cuss.
All right. I was giving it a few seconds to see if we could do it, and we did it. By golly, it's going to be a good year.
Starting off strong.
See you next time.
Mike the Baptist.